Welcome back to episode 4 of Empire Sports of Mind. I'm Matthew. Joining me as always is John. The Jets and Giants had a pretty depressing week. The Jets lost to the Bills 20-12, and the Giants lost to the Eagles. And both losses were pretty terrible to say the least. So let's start with some good news. Let's start with the Yankees. The Yankees, in case you've been living under a rock, the Yankees signed Aaron Judge to a 9-year, $360 million extension. And yeah, let's talk about it.
Yeah, I think that was look, you had the whole saga with the arson judge situation with John Heyman tweeting that out. That sent Yankee fans into I don't know, it was a crazy world to live in for that 5 minutes where it got then he tweeted out, oh, he jumped the gun. Just an embarrassment. I mean, he should be ashamed of that. He sent everyone into a crazy state. Then he says, "Oh, I jumped the gun." That's all about being first. He wants to be the first
Yeah.
reporter to report that. That's besides the point. The next morning, we find out Yankees sign Aaron Judge. 9 years, $360 million. I think the big takeaway is the Padres were willing to offer Aaron Judge $400 million, and he turned it down simply because he wanted his legacy over the most amount of money. I respect that. Hal Steinbrenner got this deal done. He called up Judge the night before the deal got done. He said to Aaron Judge, do you want to be a Yankee? Judge answered yes, and he just said, I will if you give me the ninth year. Hal gave him the ninth year, and he's a Yankee for life. And I'm really happy about that. He's the next captain of this franchise. He's a great face. I think you needed to re-sign him because we said last episode, I was saying, oh, maybe you would like to see what would be plan B if they didn't re-sign Judge, what pieces they would get if they didn't. I think thinking back on it after he re-signed, you can't replace this guy. This guy's irreplaceable. He had a 10 WAR last year. What are you going to get? Correa, even Correa, if you sign Correa and more, I don't think this guy's replaceable. He's the face of your franchise. What are your thoughts on this, Matthew? I mean, this guy,
Yeah.
this signing had to get done.
Yeah, what you talked about Hal Steinbrenner, I think that's a good point. I think he's shown that he's willing to spend this offseason. I definitely respect that. They're spending $40 million a year on Aaron Judge, and they've also shown interest in Carlos Rodon, who's the best free agent starting pitcher left on the market, and Carlos Correa, who's they said the Yankees have kind of been a mystery team in on Correa. So I think that's good. Hopefully they land one of those guys. Landing one of those guys instantly improves the Yankees, and yeah, I'm happy with the signing. They had to get it done. Obviously, multiple sources say that Aaron Judge is going to be the next captain as part of this deal, and that's great. So I'm happy about that.
Yeah, you know what? We heard about the Carlos Correa rumors, I think, on Friday. I don't buy it. I really don't. I don't see them signing Correa and Rodon. I don't even see Correa, to be honest with you, because I think Rodon. Would you? I don't know if it's an interesting debate to think about. Would you rather see Rodon signed by the Yankees or Correa? Because both is not happening. If you
Both is
sign
not.
both, the payroll's over 310 million. After you get over that 290 threshold, then you're getting taxed. I think of 50% what you're being paid. I think that's how it works. The Mets they don't care about. Steve Cohen doesn't care about that. Their payroll's now like 315. I think
But
320.
with the taxes, it goes over 400. It's crazy.
It's not. No, you could sign. You could spend as much as you want. I think Steve Cohen. I don't know what is the Mets payroll. It's like 330 after they signed Senga last. That was a big signing for them. The Mets have had a great offseason. Their rotation is really shaping up to be really good. After beginning of the offseason, after DeGrom left, you're saying who's in this rotation? Now they're building a formidable force in that rotation. But as going back to what I said, Correa rumors, I don't buy it. I think Rodon is a must. You have to sign Rodon because if you don't, there's not a lot of other pitchers that are comparable to him on the market. It's important for Rodon, not just for this year, for the upcoming years, because in 2 years you only have and Cortez and Cole locked up. That's it in the rotation. I think it's a look at that. Get Rodon done. He wants to be a Yankee. The reports are he wants. That's his number one preferred destination. I think you have to get it done. If I'm Hal Steinbrenner, if he wants a 6 year, go 6 years, 30 per million per, and get it done. I think it's a must.
Yeah, I think Carlos Rodon. You look at the Yankees, but like you said, you look at the Yankees rotation. It's pretty good right now. But yeah, as you talked about in 2 years, it's only Cortez and Cole who are here past in a couple of years. So I think signing Rodon's important. obviously they're not going to sign Rodon and Correa, but if they sign either, if they sign Correa but not Rodon, you won't see me complaining. I think that's probably maybe the better move because shortstop's a bigger position of need than replacing Rodon over Domingo Herman, probably most likely that
The
fits starter. So
the one thing, I'll just cut you off and I'll let you continue your point. The one thing I don't see them sign, yeah, obviously I would like Correa over Rodon as that's a more pressing need shortstop. I don't see the Yankees handing out another $300 million player because they have Stanton, Judge, Cole. I don't see how Steimer. Look, I'm not going to criticize Hal for not spending because he did sign Judge, but if Judge is the only move this offseason, I'm going to be critical because it's the same team right now as last year as they lost in the ALCS. Even worse because they don't have Benintendi. Obviously, say Benintendi was hurt, but right now the team as constructed right now without any more moves this offseason, it's the same team that lost in the ALCS, and they have to get better. But
yeah, I agree. The Yankees also in the past week they signed Tommy Kahnle to a 2-year, $11.5 million deal, so they enhanced the bullpen a little bit. I think everyone is happy with the deal. I think his market value is probably a little higher, so that's actually a pretty good deal for the Yankees. But yeah, I think they have to look to improve. Yeah, right. Just with this roster as it is, I think it's worse than last year's. Yeah, Benintendi's if he doesn't, I don't know if Benintendi's coming back, but yeah, he was on the team last year, and I think the most pressing issue of need is shortstop. Even if it's not somebody like Correa, I think they should even look at somebody like Dansby Swanson, who's had a very good career up to this point. But we'll see where it takes us.
yeah, Swanson's an interesting option. I just don't see it after they've publicly praised their prospects, Peraza and Volpe, so much. I just don't see them committing so much money to a shortstop position when you have those two guys coming up.
Mhm.
I don't totally agree with it, but I just think that the obvious thing is that they're not going to do those things. I don't think it's realistic. And then I think you can never have enough pitching in this league. That's why I think Rodon is a must because look, nowadays these guys are going 6 innings and my point, basically, the point I'm trying to say is pitchers get hurt during the season. Not everyone is guaranteed to pitch 32 starts a year. People are going to get hurt. You need a lot of depth because if one person gets hurt, then your whole rotation's crippled for the postseason. That happens if the injury happens before it. Rodon it's just so they got to get this done. There's no excuses. This guy, if he had a lucrative market, he would be signed already. If a lot of people were bidding high, the guy would be gone. He would have been gone by the end of winter meetings. What's telling me is he's not signed right now. I think the Yankees, what I think's happening is Scott Boras is waiting for the Yankees to up their bid. I think the Yankees have the highest offer on the table. I just think he's waiting out because it's Scott Boras. He's the best in the business. He knows how to. And you saw Heyman tweet this morning, "Oh, the Cardinals are their mystery team." That's just that Boras paying Heyman. That's obvious a tweet that
Mhm.
Cardinals are not really in on him. That's to drive up the price. This guy Boras is the best in the business. I think the Yankees they have to get it done soon because you got to look to. I don't know. You just get the deal done. I know it's
Yeah,
Scott
and
Boras. Scott Boras is tough to deal with, but you got to get this done. No
yeah, and
excuses.
Aaron Judge said that he would like to see some improvements. This was per the New York Post. He would like to see some improvements to the team as a consequence of him coming back. So yeah, hopefully they get something done. But whether it's Correa or Rodon, I think I'll be happy with either. I think the most pressing thing is just to improve on the margins.
Yeah, after say you sign Rodon, the left fielder market's interesting because of Benintendi. I think he's seeking 100 million, and there's
Oh,
rumors out there that he might not prefer New York as his top destination. Like maybe I don't know. Would you want to pay Benintendi $100 million? I don't think so. I think honestly, I would rather have Conforto on a 1 year deal than Benintendi signing him for that much. I think that's a long commitment for Benintendi. Look, Benintendi's a nice left fielder, a little above average left fielder, but I don't know if I'm willing to commit that much money to him. I would honestly, I'm a big fan of signing Conforto to approve a deal. I really think he has value. Yankee Stadium, the swing is perfect for Yankee Stadium, in my opinion. I do like Conforto as a player a lot. I think that's something to look at.
yeah, the way you described it, I think I totally agree. Benintendi's a nice player. That's the right word. And you look at somebody, the guy, the Red Sox. I don't want to mispronounce the name, but the guy, the Red Sox signed to a 5-year, $90 million contract, and he's never even played in the MLB. So I think, yeah, Benintendi's probably likely to get a similar contract. I don't know if he's going to get the 100 million, but he's likely to get a similar contract. You really want to pay him that? I agree. I think Ford on a 1-year deal solves a lot of issues.
Yeah, that Red Sox contract, I don't get it. I think his name is Yoshida, I think you pronounce it. I
Yeah,
don't understand how you pay him. What are they paying him? About 100 million total
yeah.
value? How do you pay a guy who hasn't played? I get his Japanese numbers are very good. They're a superstar in this league. If he put up those numbers, he would be a superstar. But MLB pitching is a whole different ballgame. I don't know how you can commit that much money to a player that's so uncertain. This guy is either great or an absolute bust. I don't know how the Red
Mhm.
Sox did that. The Red Sox are, I mean, that's another topic of talk, but the Red Sox offseason has been horrible. And they missed out. They were interested in Senga. They didn't re-sign Xander. Did you see that Xander Bogaerts offer that they offered him? They lowballed him. I think they offered him about 6 years and like 160 million. What a lowball! That's an insulting offer to a guy
Yeah.
who's done nothing but great things for your franchise over the past 5, 10 years. I don't get how they did that. That was disrespectful of what they did to him.
Yeah, and adding on that, Devers is a free agent next offseason, so he might look at the treatment that Bogarts got this past year, and that might entice him to leave the Boston Red Sox. They signed Kenley Jansen to a two-year, $34 million year. That's $17 million a year for a pretty old closer. I don't know how that's going to work out. I don't think he's great anymore. I think he's okay, but and then also you look at somebody like Kodai Senga, who the Mets signed, and he's throwing 100, 101. So I think that's different. Even though he's never played in the MLB, the stuff is there. The stuff is there in Japan. The stuff is there in the MLB. It doesn't really matter. And I agree. Somebody, an outfielder in Japan, who's never faced maybe that stuff, never faced the 100-mile-per-hour fastball, or never faced a curveball with 3,000
Hmm.
spin rate. It's a whole different ballgame. So, yeah, I agree. That could either be a great contract or a terrible contract.
And I think going back to what you said about the Mets signing of Senga, I think that's honestly going to turn out to be one of the best signings the Mets have made in recent history. I think and like say he's a bust, okay, he's getting paid what is it 75 over 5? I think the
Yeah,
contract was. That's a great deal because I don't think there's really a chance that he's a big bust. Maybe he's like the worst he could be is maybe like a 4 ERA type guy. It's still
yeah.
pretty vital for your rotation. I think this Mets made a great move. I think it was smart of them to let go of DeGrom. Verlander and Senga, very good offseason. I think the Mets are acing this offseason. They re-signed Nimmo as well. He's a big player in that
And David
organization.
Robertson.
David Robertson was a great picker for the bullpen. I
Mhm,
love Steve. I really respect what Steve Cohen's doing. He doesn't care, and you need more owners like this MLB who doesn't care about just making money.
mhm.
He doesn't care. He loves the team, has passion for him. I have just the most respect for Steve Cohen, what he's doing right now.
Yeah, I can't argue against that. I think what he's doing is great, and then what the teams like the Rays and the Pirates are doing is not great. To simply put.
Yeah, it's just terrible for the sport. You have guys that if you're going to own a team, why are you owning a team if you're not willing to spend money on the team? Like why? Like I don't get it. These people just see it as a business. You think the Rays are
Yeah,
making that much money? They have no fans going to these games. The stadium's utterly trash. Like why own the team? Just sell it. Just because it's just disappointing for the fans to see an owner that's not committed. It's not fair to the fans because these fans are paying. Some fans are paying money, maybe not a lot to the Rays. Maybe they don't have a lot of season ticket holders, but it's just unfair to the fans. If you're going to own a team, be willing to spend at least 100 million on your payroll. Because you saw the Athletics. I forgot what player it was, but he's getting paid I think 11 or no 5 a year, and that's the highest paid player on their team right now on their payroll. That's just embarrassing. It's really embarrassing. It's just bad
yeah.
for the sport.
Yeah, and even a team like the Pirates, we know there's a market there because they have a market for hockey and they have a market for football with the Steelers and the Penguins. So to say, oh, there's no baseball market there, that's simply not true. I think there's a market. If the team is good, there'll be a lot of fans there and you'll be able to make more money. So I think there's no excuse for a team like that to not spend money. I guess the Rays, they have no fans. Maybe there's no like income coming in, so they can't spend as much money. But at least we have to look at teams like the Pirates and ask why they're not spending money.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I think that MLB is very unique because they're the only sport that doesn't have a salary cap. So, the competitiveness is going to be a little off balance because it's just the only sport that's without that. I don't think they're ever going to implement a salary cap because the players union will never stand for that. That's why
Yeah,
I
I
think
hope
that
they don't.
yeah, I hope they don't either. But as we said, the owner's not spending. It's just the competitive balance of the league is very just uneven right now, and it has to get. I want it to be more balanced. I want more teams to show that they're being committed to winning because it'll be better for the league overall, better for popularity than you only have the. It's better than if you only have the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Dodgers spending big money. I want more teams to start spending more because it would just be better for the league overall. I don't know if we're ever going to see it though in the near future.
No, I don't think we'll ever see it like that where all teams are in the mix on a player like Aaron Judge, but I think teams should be in the mix for a guy like Nimmo or a guy like Conforto. For the Rays to say like, oh, Conforto's too expensive because he's going to get a 1 year deal that's not worth a lot of money just as a prove it deal, that's a little ridiculous. It's just a 1 year deal most likely. So I think the teams like the Rays and the Pirates at a minimum have to be on him. There's no risk in that contract whatsoever. and he should have a lucrative market. Really, he really should. And the fact that he didn't sign last offseason, he hasn't signed yet this offseason is very surprising to me.
Yeah, no, I like I said before, I want the Yankees to. I really would love if the Yankees sign Conforto. I'm a very happy man. But Matthew, I say we move on to football. Disappointing day for both New York franchises. The Jets with a heartbreaker, 20 to 12. Giants got blown out by the Eagles, totally
Yeah,
outclassed by them.
48-22.
Yeah, that was an embarrassment. That game was over by the start of the second quarter, I think. But yeah, the Jets going into the game, I was not expecting a win. Obviously, going into Buffalo, one of the toughest places to play. One of the toughest places to play with that Bills Mafia. The crowd was rocking today. Going into it, I was like, "There's no look." I thought the Jets had a little bit of a chance, but I was not expecting a win, which is what I'm trying to say. But look, they played well enough to win. It's just the flags, the penalties. They had I think 7 flags for 68 yards, and you had 2 turnovers, 2 key turnovers. Flacco coming to the game
Fumbles,
after
yeah.
White got hurt, fumbles it. They're at midfield. They're driving down the field. That was a killer for the team. And you have Michael Carter fumbling it when they're going down the field. They're on the 20-yard line. Killer. I think if they limited the mistakes, they had a good chance of winning that game. It's just disappointing because they had more yards than the Bills, better on third downs, better. They didn't give up. Josh Allen had his season low in yards. Diggs was kind of a non-factor outside that one play. The Jets could have won this game. That's the disappointing part. Because if they got blown out, I'd accept it. Oh, the Bills, they're a great team. They outplayed the Jets. But the bottom line is the Jets were in this game, and that's what makes it more disappointing because the Jets, they could have, it was a winnable game.
Hmm. Yeah, and their defense played spectacularly. I think that's a recurring theme. That's just we kind of know that at this point that the defense is going to be very good, and especially in the first half. The second half was a little. The Bills, I guess they kind of figured it out, but the first half was really impressive, definitely. And then Quinn Williams got hurt. I guess that could be a factor. But I thought Mike White was just fine today. I don't think he was great. I don't think he was terrible. Obviously, at the end there may have been some lingering injury stuff, or there seems to have been. Um, he didn't have any. He didn't throw for more than 25 yards in any play. His long was 25 yards today. So, um, but he was okay. Joe Flacco came in and was terrible. I think that's the biggest teller here, because when Joe Flacco's at this point he's an average backup quarterback, and he came in and he was horrendous for maybe 5 or 6 plays. So I think that shows you that Mike White definitely has to start the rest of the year because there's no better options on the Jets right now.
Yeah, and another point to make is Zach Wilson has. I honestly, I don't know why he's the third quarterback. Why is Joe Flacco the backup? At least if you're going to sit Zach Wilson as the third quarterback, bring up Strevler. I don't know if you ever heard of him. The kid
Yeah,
played
he was good in the
pretty well in the
preseason.
preseason. Make him this backup. Why are you making Joe Flacco? This guy's washed up. He comes into the game, he looks like an absolute dud. The guy doesn't look like he's interested in the sport. He looks like he's done. The guy's done. He should be on a couch watching games on Sunday. He shouldn't be as a backup for the New York Jets. It's another embarrassment why he's on the team. This guy, when he came in, it just looked like he was the Walking Dead out there. First play, second play he's in, he fumbles the ball. It's just so, it was so frustrating. I was slamming stuff. Oh my god, this guy Joe Flacco, just get him, send a message, cut him tomorrow. The guy's career is over. Cut him, elevate Strevler. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, or I don't even not even Elvin Trevor. I don't know why you wouldn't give Wilson a shot. Like, do you have zero confidence in Zach Wilson at this point? If so, I think you have to. I don't think you can keep him on the team next year. I think you have to cut him or search for a trade for like a seventh round pick or something at this point.
No, I know. It says a lot that they don't have faith in the guy that they picked second overall only 2 years ago. That says a
Yeah.
lot about that. Look, this guy usually second overall picks. They have a bigger leash than the Jets have given Zach Wilson. I agree when they benched him, it was the right time, but make him backup. What's the worst thing that could happen? Maybe Zach Wilson surprises everyone and he comes back. Like
Hmm.
he is like with Joe Flacco, what do you expect him to do? The guy's literally any pressure comes, he's getting sacked. The guy can't move. The guy looks like he has the same mobility as my grandpa. I mean, really, the guy is done. I don't know why he's on the Jets. It was very disappointing. Uh, Look, I going back to what you said about Mike White, he played all right. I think he played more. I think he played pretty good. Like the Jets' offense line was giving him no favors. The guy was getting hit
Yeah.
left and right, getting demolished. I think he probably has broken ribs, fractured ribs at the very least. And the guy is getting demolished all game, and he's still staying in the pocket, not without any fear of getting hit. And he's delivering some pretty. I thought he had some pretty nice throws, even
Hmm.
after he had that rib injury. He was firing them in there, pretty accurate. This guy is not a bad quarterback. Look, I'm not saying he's going to be anything great, but I think this guy at least deserves to be named the starting quarterback for the rest of the year because I think he's shown it plenty to be named the starting quarterback for the rest of the year. We'll see what happens after. I don't know. It's an uncertainty what happens after this year, but at least for the end of this, for the rest of this year, 4 games, start him all four, name him starter.
Yeah, and I think I guess I'm kind of favoring your side a little bit now because I thought the play calling the first half was very bad. I thought that there were a lot of 3rd and 10s, 3rd and 11s, 3rd and 8s, and it didn't seem like they were trying to get first downs. It seems like there were some schemed up wide receiver screens and tight end little curls that were 3 yards in. I just didn't like those play calls. I thought they should either, if they don't want to get the first down, they should run the ball, or if they want to get the first down, they should throw past the sticks. And in the second half, I thought the play calling was a little better, but I don't think it was anything great. It was a lot of basic concepts. I saw a lot of slants and stuff. I don't really know. I don't think
Yeah,
it was.
now I don't get why Donovan Knight, I love this kid a lot. This kid has shown me so much. He's just so explosive. It looks like when he's supposed to gain 2 yards, he gets five. When he's supposed to lose five, he goes back to the line of scrimmage. This guy is unbelievable. He's exceeded my expectations by a lot. This guy was a practice squad player, and he's been playing by running back one the past 3 weeks. And they're not. It doesn't look like they should be focusing on getting him going more. It didn't look like they have many run play designs. I don't know. They're running at the first down, you're running it and you're waiting. It's like why don't they, I didn't see one play the whole game of them running it up the middle. Why are they
Yes.
having long run play develop? That's not going to happen against the Bills have a great front D. It's not going to work against the Bills. Well, just running up the middle with this guy. This guy will probably gain five. Like at worst, he's going to gain 5 yards, 4 or 5 yards. I don't get the whole play calling. Michael LaFleur should be reevaluated. Guy has been terrible. He's been terrible the past 2 weeks. That's the bottom line. I mean, this
Mhm.
guy can't look when the offense seems to get going. He just play. It always seems like he has a play that gets called, and they lose 5 yards, and the whole the drive's over. This guy
Mhm.
just, I don't know, Michael LaFleur. I like him. Everyone seems to like him. Like you saw Rome on the broadcast, he was like, "Oh, this guy's a rising star." I get it. He look, he could be a good coach, but right now he's showing me, I don't know, just he's not the best.
Yeah, this is a problem with the Giants too. I saw today. I agree. It's a lot of long running plays. Like they're bringing guards out to like the wham concept, but they're bringing guards out to block like on the outside. It was a little complicated. Like sometimes you just got to have your guards plow forward and just run up the middle and see. Like this guy had tremendous burst from what I saw, and if you just allowed that line up and he's in the single back formation, you just hand it to him and he tries to just sprint up the middle. They didn't run any of that, and that was a little disappointing. And the Giants did the same thing, but we'll talk more about that later. And then also, I I think also the Jets' offensive line has probably been one of the worst this year. Do you agree with that? I
One of
think
the
that
worst in the league.
it's
No,
been
I
one of
would.
the worst. I saw offensive line rankings say they're 27, 28th.
Yeah, I would say it's a little. You know why? I would say a big factor in that is because they haven't had a consistent starting five on that. It's always been moving pieces. It's hard to get an offensive line going in rhythm when you have guys moving in and out every single week. It's hard to get continuity. I would say that's a big look. They have talent on offensive line. They picked up Lakin Tomlinson free agency. Fant has been good. You drafted well. Look, the big loss is AVT. Their offensive line was middle of the pack when he was playing. After he went down, I think they dropped a lot, and that's a big factor. AVT was the best offensive player on the Jets until he got hurt. I think that's why you're seeing the rankings go down for them.
Yeah, but I think overall, what I've noticed at least, I think is a lack of not maybe not lack of talent, but a lack of development or a lack of or really poor drafting on the offensive side. Besides Garrett Wilson and Brees Hall, no, we can look at Zach Wilson second overall, Michael Carter they drafted in the third or fourth round, James Robinson they traded a day 3 pick, I think it was a 5th round pick, and they have it. He's gotten 15 touches. Garrett Wilson's been good. Elijah Moore was okay today, but he hasn't been great this year. Denzel Mims was a 2nd round pick. Somebody like CJ Uzoma, I see him on the field a lot, so I'm assuming he's there to block. But he
He's
only has
his
100
prime. Yeah,
yards. He only has 100 yards in the year. He's getting 8 million a year. Corey Davis has been okay, but has he been living up to that contract? Not sure. I don't think that, and then the offensive line hasn't been great. I don't think the talent evaluation on the offensive side of the ball has been great for this Jets team.
yeah. I mean, look, it's a fair point. Corey Davis. I just want to say with him, it's such a roller coaster with Corey Davis. He makes a terrible play, gets a fall. He has a false start, and then the next play, he has an amazing play to convert on the third down. This guy's a roll. I mean, look, Corey Davis. It seems like he makes clutch catches, but he hasn't been consistent enough to do so that contract was good. I like the signing, but he's a good player. He's not going to be a guy who wins you games late in games, in my opinion. I think he's a wide receiver too, at best. But my thing is with the Jets offensive system. We're talking about it right now. Um, why is Braxton Berrios getting so much playing time? Elijah, I still think, and I'll die on a hill. Elijah Moore has so much talent, and they're not utilizing him enough as they should be. Braxton Berrios is running motions. He's getting all these play concepts designed to get him the ball. I don't understand why it's him. He had a nice catch today. I think that was like the 25-yard passes you were
Yeah.
talking about. It was him.
Mhm.
But other than that, I don't. Why is this guy playing late in games? Elijah Moore, get him the ball. The guy is good with space. The Jets just, I don't know why they don't utilize him as much as they. I don't get it. That's the one gripe I have with them. You said they don't have good offensive evaluators. Look, you got to give them credit. I know Garrett Wilson was the first round pick. It's hard to mess up with those, but the guy is a stud. I mean, Garrett Wilson, might win Offensive Rookie of the Year. You had Brees Hall they drafted in the second round. They traded up for him. You have to give them credit with that. He would have been the Offensive Rookie of the Year if he didn't get hurt. Look, you could look at Denzel Mims. He was a bust, right? Um, who else do we look at? And look, I think we talked about before Jeremy Ruckert. Why isn't
Yeah.
he playing? I know you
Yeah.
signed Tyler Conklin. I know you signed CJ Uzama, but he should get some playing time. See what he has to offer in the passing game at least, because you have CJ Uzama for the run block. Maybe use a two tight end set. Have Jeremy Ruckert go out for the pass. See what he could do for you. Because at least
Yeah,
give him a shot.
exactly. Yeah, I think yeah, and a guy like Zonovan Knight, undrafted, I think that's a good pickup. But I think overall, I just think that, and maybe you can attribute this to to somebody like Mike LaFleur and the play calling and who's on the field at will given time. But it seems like they're treating Braxton Berrios as like their own Debo Samuel when he's not. Like they try to give him run, they try to pitch the ball to him, they try to run wide receiver screens, and he's getting like motion. And it seems like they're trying to like make Elijah Moore just like a really standard wide receiver, like a wide receiver two
But
or wide receiver three.
yeah,
And yeah, I agree. I don't think that's the right decision.
Elijah Moore is like they're using him to. You see him before plays, they motion him like he's running cardio. That's his main focus. And I know I think he had 60 yards today. It's a nice game from him,
Mhm.
but they have to get him more involved. Run a screen pass with Elijah Moore. Maybe do like a pit. Maybe pitch it to him and see what he could do with space. At least give him some opportunities. I can see what. Look, I go back to when he requested that trade. I can see the frustration. They're not utilizing him as much. He shut up a little bit because I think he shut up ever since that the Jets named Mike White as a starter. He hasn't complained one bit. I think that says a lot. The team is rallying behind Mike White as their starting quarterback. Elijah Moore might not be getting many touches as he was, but he's getting more than he would be under Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson seems to have no chemistry with him. Mike White's throwing the ball. He's looking Elijah Moore. Elijah, he's looking at least he's looking at Elijah Moore when he's running around. Zach Wilson seemed to never look at him. He got 0 targets, 1 target at most when Zach Wilson was playing. I think that's why you see his satisfaction a little more with Elijah Moore. Not he's not complaining as much as he did, but gotta get involved more. The guy was a second round pick last year. He looked really good at the end of his rookie season last year. I just don't get why they're not utilizing him as much. Maybe they're still frustrated with how he requested that trade, how he presented himself in that situation. I really just don't get it. It befuddles me.
Yeah, and I think what you said, yeah, Zach Wilson, when he was playing, he was only throwing in between 100 and 200 yards. I think that demonstrates an overall lack of ability to push the ball downfield when you need to, and like when it's in passing situations, getting those 10, 15-yard completions. Mike White, the 3 games he's been in, he's had 250 yards plus in all 3 games. And those yards get attributed to guys like Elijah Moore, even Denzel Mims, who had 35 yards today. And I think that's the difference between Mike White and Zach Wilson. Mike White's able to make those throws in situations, passing downs where they need to get some yardage. I think he's been able to do that.
Yeah. Look, now we go into the Jets. They have 4 games left. I think that they have to win 3 to have a chance at the
Mhm.
playoffs. You look next week against the Lions, who just had a great win over the Vikings. The Lions is not as we said the past couple weeks. The Lions are not an easy opponent. The Jets cannot take this game lightly. They have two. The bottom line is they have 2 winnable games at home. The Lions and the Jaguars. They're winnable games, but they're not going to be as easy as it should because the Jacksonville Jaguars are not playing bad either. Trevor Lawrence has kind of stepped it up a little bit. He's living up. Maybe he's starting to develop, and you can see him getting better every week.
Yeah.
But look, they have 2 easy opponents at. No, I'm not going to. No, easy. No, winnable, and then they go to Seattle, tough place to play, and Miami, which is another tough place to play. So it's not an easy task to ask the Jets to win 3 out of 4, but is it doable? Yes. Got to take 1 week at a time and just get healthy. Hopefully, Quinn Williams is back next week. I heard Robert Sala in the post game. He said he's day to day. That's they really, got lucky because if that was a knee injury, could be torn ACL, a lot of, disasters could happen out of that. But luckily it's only a calf injury, minor. And hopefully he plays. Hopefully they get Mike White back healthy next week. It said he went to the hospital after the game, precautionary, and now he's back with the team. He flew home with them, so that's good news. Yeah, we will see. I mean, look, the Jets. All you would ask for as a fan before the season to play meaningful games in December, be in the hunt, and they are. And I'm happy with that. Looking back at, if they don't make the playoffs this year, I'll be disappointed, but I'm just happy that we're talking about meaningful games in December, which is what you wanted at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, I still feel like at this point you've won. You're 7-6. You've won 7 games of grueling football. It's December. At this point, you can't just say, "Oh, it's a good season." Like it's hard to come. It's hard to get back to the spot. It's hard to play meaningful December games next year. And I think I agree with you. I think you have to win 3 games, and if you get really lucky, maybe 2 games because the Patriots and the Chargers are 500. They haven't been great. I think you can expect them to be 500 or above. And yeah, that starts with beating the Lions, who are a very good team. The Lions actually, I think we're seeing they're on a win streak, and they started off the season 1-5. They've been really good since then. So I think they're actually an underrated team at this point. Um, and the Jaguars, they're a tough opponent. I think the Jets. I'm going to say the Jets are going to win that game, and then they have to win 2 out of the 3 other games in between the Seahawks, the Lions, and the Dolphins.
Yeah, I think that the Seahawks did that game end yet with the Panthers and the Seahawks?
Yeah,
Did
the
the
Panthers won.
See, look, the Seattle's beatable, and that was in Seattle too, right? Am I
Yeah, it
right?
was in Seattle.
So yeah, they're beatable. I think the Jets can win that game. Miami, obviously, it's a division. Any divisional game is winnable because it's always close. Look, the Bills, the opening line was 10. I thought that was a lot. Divisional games are always close. I think the Jets have a shot at winning 3 out of 4. But if they won today, you're not talking about just a playoff berth. You're talking about potentially winning the AFC East if they won today. That's what was so crazy about today's game. If the Jets won today, they own the tiebreaker with the Bills, and then you could potentially be one back of the Dolphins that last game. If they won that game, they could have won the division. But now we're not talking about that. Now they just are looking at making this the last wild card spot. But look, you got to root for the Chargers. No, you got to root for the Dolphins tonight, and then tomorrow the Cardinals against the Patriots. And hopefully that happens. Hopefully the Jets remain in the playoff spot going into next week against the Lions. That's what you got to hope for. You got to play cheerleaders for these teams, unfortunately.
Yeah, yeah, I think, and that's gonna be the theme the rest of the season because those 3 teams are competing for one spot because the Bengals and Dolphins have those first and second wildcard spots probably locked up. So yeah, we'll see. I think it's still 50-50, maybe a little bit less. I think it's 50-50.
Yeah, like hasn't nothing has changed. But
Mhm.
let's go over to the other New York team, the New York Giants. They're not now they're actually in the playoff spot because the Seahawks just lost. But after the game, they weren't dropped out of it for the first time in a while.
Mhm.
What are your thoughts on the game today? I mean, they got absolutely slaughtered. You told me that you were switched to red zone early in the second quarter, but what can you tell me about the game? How did they look? They looked terrible.
Okay, so that the first drive, it was 4 plays and that's it, and they got a first down and that was it. They punted the ball. And the next 2 Eagles drives, there were 14 plays and 12 plays. And they took a total of 13 minutes off the clock. I think those drives both ended in touchdowns. Those are really established the mood of the game, the tone of the game. And I think those long drives are a bunch of third downs. There was a fourth down mixed in there that they scored on. Those long drives, I think, were really deflating for the Giants and really ended the game kind of early. And then they get the ball back when it's 14-0. It's they get a first down, and then they get stopped, and it's fourth down, and the punter bounces the ball on the floor and kicks the ball.
I saw that. I was like,
That's how the game went today for the Giants.
absolutely. That was just embarrassing. I mean, look, I don't blame the guy because if he didn't kick that, he probably would have got slaughtered by the defensive players. So I don't blame him in that regard. But the rule is you can't kick a ball that already bounced to the ground. But yeah, that just says it all how it went for the Giants today. Going
Yeah.
into the game I heard a lot of fans saying, "Oh, let's just rest our whole team." No, you play to win. They're still in a playoff spot. This game is important. A lot of fans were looking ahead to the Commanders game next week, which is probably going to tell if they make the playoffs or not.
Mhm.
But you couldn't look past today. Obviously, it was going to be a tough test beating the Eagles. They're one of the best teams in the NFL. But yeah, just a disappointing. I mean, what are your thoughts? Do you think the Giants after today? Can you still see them as a lock for the playoffs? I don't think so. I think it's now less than 50% that they make it.
No, I think the Giants and the Commanders are very evenly matched. I think it's whoever wins that game is going to go to the playoffs, most likely, because they'll have a 2-game lead with 3 games left, basically, because they'll in the tiebreaker. I think those teams are very equally matched. I put it at 50-50. But on the point about resting your players, yeah, I agree. You're not resting Daniel Jones today. You're not resting Darius Slate. You're not resting Kayvon Thibodeau or Dexter Lawrence. But Saquon Barkley, they said he was a legitimate 50-50 to play, and he didn't look explosive at all. I think he had 9 rushes for just about 30 yards. And if he wasn't 100%, I saw early in the game they were giving touches to Gary Brightwell, who's their third string running back. If he wasn't 100%, and this is a game against an 11-1 opponent, I don't think there's reason to play Saquon Barkley and risk him getting injured. But the other guys you still play. I don't think they should have started Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, that was a head scratcher because he had a neck injury, right? And you want him to be fully healthy for next week, which is a very important game. I would have rested him. That's the only player I would have rested, obviously. But I think the Giants' and that main question is, yeah, making the playoffs would be nice. But I think they're really focused on do we pay Daniel Jones? What do we pay him? And do we keep retains Barkley? That's gonna be two big offseason questions. Do you think that, Matthew? Do you think that in my opinion, I'll say my opinion first. I think they should keep Daniel Jones and sign him to a deal this offseason because who else are you going to get? You're going to go through the draft. They're not even going to have a high pick. You got to trade up for a high pick. That's just not in the realm of possibility. Signing a veteran quarterback like Derek Carr, Jimmy Garoppolo, I don't even think those guys are better than Daniel Jones. I think Daniel Jones is probably similar to those two guys. I just don't think that makes sense either because of the amount of money they're going to get. They should keep Daniel Jones. Barkley, I don't know. Maybe you could think about letting him walk because of the amount of money he's going to get paid. But look, he's a face of your franchise too. Like we said with Aaron Judge and the Yankees. If you lose Barkley, that's a big identity loss to the team. I don't know. What are your thoughts on it? Do you think they should keep Barkley and Daniel Jones?
I think they kind of do have to keep Jones, and I'm not necessarily against it. I think he's shown that he's a capable NFL quarterback. Is he great? No. Is he terrible? No. I think he could be just about league average. And the deal that he's going to get is probably going to represent that. He's probably get a 2-year deal that's kind of a prove it deal, but it has it's like a 2-year, maybe 25-30 million dollar contract. I think that's his value. He's not going to get franchise tagged for that. The amount of money in the franchise tag is a lot, so he's not going to get that. But I think they're likely to resign him. Barkley, on the other hand, I think it really do really build around the running back. I think running backs are replaceable, like Zonovan Knight, who's been explosive for the Jets. I don't think he's making the league minimum. So you get good production out of him. So I don't think it's really worth it to build around a guy like Saquon Barkley if he's asking for a ridiculous amount. At the same time, he is the face of the franchise. So if he's asking for a reasonable price and it's not anything crazy, which I think is unlikely, then yeah, you resign him. But I think the price that he's going to get offered by other teams and the price that he probably wants is going to be too high for the Giants and for me personally.
I agree. Like, say the Giants were close to being a Super Bowl competitive team. That's not really close. That's still, 2 or 3 years down the line. I say if they were close to that, maybe you consider probably re-signing Saquon Barkley. I think that you have a lot of other needs that you have to fulfill with the salary cap that he's gonna look. Saquon Barkley would probably get paid close to $30 million a year. That could
Yeah.
be towards towards a defense. The defense doesn't have a lot of talent. They have a lot of practice squads players playing every week. I think that money can go through improving the team on other positions of need because running back, as we said a few weeks ago, running backs on the down low. It's down on the list of positions that you need to be a good team. Like as you see with Zonovan Knight, Michael Carter, he may not be on the Jets in 2 years because of Zonovan Knight. Zonovan Knight and Brees Hall might be the 1-2 for the Jets in the next 5-8 years. That might be the future of the Jets rather than you thought it was going to be Michael Carter and Brees Hall, but now Zonovan Knight, as you said, he's making the league minimum I think he's setting the Jets world on fire right now. He's been great. I mean, and
Mhm.
now you're looking at Michael Carter. I think he's expandable now too, and that just shows you how this position, how you could get a lot of value out of a guy who's not getting paid that much money. I think that just shows you this position. A lot of people could play. You can have a good running back without paying your running back $30 million a year because that's not smart. As you see with the
Yeah.
Cowboys now, Tony Pollard, he's their best running back. Zeke Elliott's getting paid so much money. He's not even their running back one anymore. It just shows you this position is so volatile.
Hmm. And also the scouting, like finding a good running back, is kind of arbitrary too. Like you draft somebody like Michael Carter in the third or fourth round, and he's worse than a guy who's undrafted. So yeah, I think that's kind of sometimes you hit, sometimes you miss. So I don't think it's worth it to pay running back a lot of money. I think, yeah, you look at $30 million a year. I agree. Those are three defensive players, each getting $10 million a year. Three really good defensive $10 million players who they could get. And yeah, I think that's how they should allocate their money, especially still as a rebuilding team, and especially still trying to find fundamental pieces to build around.
Absolutely. I just want to touch on one more thing. When Quinton Williams went down, it just the defense just wasn't the same after that. It
Yeah.
just shows Quinton Williams has to be, in my opinion, in my eyes, he's an all pro. The guy has 11 sacks on the year. He has like over 20 tackle for. This guy has been just look last year coming into this year like, oh, this guy's gonna be a top nose tackle, maybe top five at best. This guy's just implementing. He just he's one of the best nose tackles in the league now. One of the best defensive tackles in the league. That's just crazy to me because it's his fourth year, and after his first 3 years, you're like, okay, this guy could be a good player. I never expected him to just set the league on fire this year. I really didn't expect it. I mean, looking at him his first 3 years, all right, he was good player, getting better each year. But this guy has really been a big crucial, and that's another guy that's gonna have to get paid soon. The Jets are gonna have to
Mhm.
allocate. He's probably gonna get the way he's playing right now, 25 up, maybe 30, close to 30 with, and that's the Jets have to pay him now, so that's the big priority of the offseason. I think I think he is a free agent this offseason. Or no, I think he's unrestricted. They could tag him, but I think you want to lock him up to a big term deal after he's proved himself. I think you have to lock him up to at least a 4 or 5 year deal. We'll see
Yeah.
what happens with that.
Yeah, I think, yeah, you have someone like Quinton Williams, and it kind of enhances whoever else is on the defensive line. Because if Quinton Williams, say, is drawing a double team, or if he's drawing a lot of attention for whatever reason it may be, I think then if you're blitzing, or if you're sending a guy around the edge, those guys have an advantage just because of having Quinton Williams on their side. Like, everyone else benefits, and I think that's important. Like, those are things that don't show up on the stat sheet, but you have to account for. And I think it's important that they re-sign him and they lock him up. That's a fundamental piece to build around. He's still very young. And when we talk about drafting and rebuilding, this is exactly what we mean. We mean finding 10 sack guys, finding defensive ends who are just like Quinton Williams. This is what rebuilding is about, and locking those players up and building around them in the future. So yeah, I think they have. This is exactly what they meant to do by drafting him. I think this is the perfect opportunity.
Yeah, and it's funny because Mike McCagnon, the former GM, he drafted Quinton Williams, not Joe Douglas, which I find
Mhm.
fascinating. It's kind of crazy. Quinton Williams has been in the league for 4 years now. It just seems like yesterday he got drafted. That's just crazy to me. I don't know. It seems like he's still a rookie in my eyes.
Yeah.
It's gone. The years have gone so fast, but Matthew, there was a great episode 4. Had a lot of fun with
Mhm.
this one. Not obviously not a fun day for us. Giants and Jets losing. We still have hope for both teams to make the playoffs. Hopefully, we'll take it week by week, game by game. Hopefully, they end up both making it. Yankees sign Rodon right now. I want this deal to be done tonight. Hopefully, it gets in reality. Hopefully, it gets done this week, and we have more great news to talk about next podcast with Rodon. But it was a great podcast, Matthew. Hopefully, everyone enjoyed. We'll see you guys next time.